I'm Rob Licuria, senior editor at Gold Derby, here with Abubakar Salim, who plays father on Raised by Wolves. Abubakar, I remember when I was watching season 2, I thought that this show is just so bonkers, brilliantly written. I was riveted. I couldn't look away. So I'm wondering if you can think back. It's been a while now. When you first arrived in South Africa with the scripts, what were your reactions? What were you hoping for? And what were you thinking when you started getting into season 2?
I mean, I think one of the things I was really looking forward to is the fact that we had all been introduced to these characters now, so we know them. So jumping back into that storyline, that sort of life will be a lot easier. But there's going to be a lot more depth to explore, and there's a lot more, a lot of things to uncover. I mean, I had as many questions, I think, as the audience did during the whole process to coming back into it. So I just wanted them answered. So that was really where my head was at. It was like, please answer these questions, because it's driving me nuts not knowing what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you love about the show? You guys must be so proud of what you achieved in season 2. It's so there's nothing like it on telly. What are you proud about Raised by Wolves?
I think I'm, one of the biggest things that I'm proud of with the show is the fact that it is so bold and daring. I think, you rarely ever get shows which are so unapologetically sort of bold. And I think there is something to be said about a show where it doesn't handhold the audience. It allows the audience to actually participate in it. I think there's a lot of shows out there where you do feel like you can kind of switch off and watch, whereas with Raised by Wolves, you can't. And I think to be a part of that is something that I'm super fortunate and really happy to be a part of. It's, again, as I say, it is so rare to see, to be, with a show where it really does just challenge you, both as an actor and as well as an audience member.
And it's interesting with father because, he's an android, so his memory can be wiped. And but he's still super loyal, protective, and really self-aware, which is probably what I most appreciate about the character. So did you have to change up the way you decided to play him in season 2 compared to how you were playing him when we first met the android in season 1?
No, I think I just went with the idea that it's a new circumstance and a new space. And I think that's what was really fascinating, was the fact that I as father had an objective in season 1, which was to raise these children in an atheist society. And because in season 2, it's almost like I've hit that goal. It was almost like, what is my objective now? And discovering that as father. So there was no sense of change, really. It was more reacting to the scenario and the story. And I think that's what makes it fun. As an actor, you have a character and you are thrown into all these scenarios and questions. And rather than change yourself, you react to these situations as the character that you've built. You be confident in saying yes as your character. So
yeah. What I also really like about him, he says, I'm just another service model, unlike mother. But yet, what the irony is, he's better at being human than she is. And in fact, probably better than most of the humans on the show. And I really love the empathy and grace that you bring to the character. There's something about your portrayal that really draws us in. And I feel like I'm always barracking for him in some weird way. Why do you think it's important for you as the actor portraying this strange character for us to feel a kinship or a connection with father?
I think it's because, again, it's a reflection of, and look, don't get me wrong, father's great, but I don't think he's perfect either. And I think that's a real that's something to be said about when audiences watch, father and mother sort of react to these scenarios, these androids who should have all the answers to everything. It's a good reflection of humanity and seeing okay, even if you had Google in your head, you still have you still can't answer all the questions or solve all the issues and problems. You can't, you can't avoid making mistakes. And I think that's what's quite key here, is the fact that even being the perfect being, you can still afford to make mistakes. Which again is what's brilliant about Aaron's writing, is he doesn't he doesn't create the perfect characters. He creates really fractured ones.
Yeah, I know, right? He just kept kind of pulling the rug from under us, I felt, through every episode. And it made me just want to keep watching. And then it got to it was a short, truncated season, I'm assuming because of COVID and maybe other reasons. And I was just like, oh, I want more now. Like I just want more.
That's good.
I'm sure everyone kind of feels that. I probably hear that all the time. So time has passed. Mother and father have been salvaged by this mysterious group who are governed by this thing called the trust. So that's where we start off. It feels really ambitious this season and visionary, and that's why I'd love to speak to Aaron one day, because I just really appreciate what he was trying to achieve. Did you get a sense when you arrived on set and you were doing season 2 that production felt more at ease with pushing the envelope because there was a familiarity or a confidence?
Definitely. I think the one thing what was so great about working with the same crew as well as in South Africa is the fact that we are all part of the same. We all kind of expect the unexpected, and we all have learned a sort of way of gelling and working with one another. So yeah, it was a lot easier to push boundaries, ask more questions, be a bit bolder with the choices that we make, both in front of camera and behind camera. So there was a lot more space to creatively play because of the fact that, we were, doing season 2 doing another season of a show that we know. And I think as time goes on, hopefully, if we do get the chance to continue, it will continue like that. That relationship will only grow stronger. Yeah. And it will only be bolder and be better.
I mean, that's the hope, right? And I mean, you got a great storyline with father this season, in his desire to create life himself, which he does weirdly in a kind of Frankenstein-y way. And I love your portrayal of his boundless curiosity and awe. Like that was probably the high point I felt in your character's arc. And they were almost childlike. And so what were you tapping into to make those particular emotions feel so authentic?
I think really, again, it was more of a sense of, it's funny that you say like childlike. I think it is that sense of like learning everything for the first time and tapping into that and almost discovering things for the first time. I think that was what made father and, playing an android actually really alluring. It's the fact that I am seeing these things and experiencing these things, not sort of in the same way as the audience is. And I think that's what really helped play this element of discovery.
Yeah, and the series ends with a character literally saying out loud, "What the F," right? Like exactly, that's pretty much what I was saying. So appropriate. What did you make of the way this season ended, and where do you think, if you do get a pickup, which we're all fingers crossed that it will happen, where do you think it will go, or do you just have no clue what Aaron could come up with next?
To be honest, I'm so happy it ended that way, because it was so again, as I say, it leans into its nature in regards to it being so bold that I have no idea what's going to happen, but I want to know what's going to happen, because again, it's risky, right? That's a really risky ending. How do you follow that? Where do you go from that? How do you explain that, right? So, I mean, I remember reading the script for that, and I remember thinking, oh man, they've probably sent me they're probably pranking me with this script, because this is insane. So it was just ridiculous. So yeah, I think I have no idea where they're going to go, but I'm very excited to see how he comes out with this,
Yeah, I know. With the credits rolling, I was like, hang on, wait, there should be more. I need to understand what the hell's going on with the upside down cross thing. And do you actually ever think about how the show does lean in a lot to that religious iconography and its commentary on what religion does to humanity? Like, is that something that ever comes up when you're on set?
I mean, yeah, a bit, but I think again, at the same time, it's one of those things where, because it is so natural in life today, you kind of not really think about it. And that's the way we treat it, right? We don't really focus and fuel ourselves off it, or we actually really stick to what's on the page and just play to what's true then. Because I mean, look, religion surrounds us today.
Yeah.
You know, politics around us today, constantly, every day. And I think it's part of our way of life. And I think we don't, you know, sometimes we make a peep, sometimes we really go into it, and sometimes we don't. And I think the trick is to have it there and, again, reflect real life. At the end of the day, you know, at the end of the day, these are human beings or androids living their day-to-day life, trying to survive, trying to get on. And I think the religion, the politics, all this other stuff, even the sci-fi element of it all, you know, the fact that we're on a different planet is all like texture and flavor to the actual truth of it, which is about survival and having a second chance.
Yeah, exactly. Thinking about just more about what the show has meant for you professionally, actors in sci-fi shows often comment to me about the pros and cons of, well, mainly pros, about how devoted and often obsessive the fan base can be in this particular genre. I don't know why that is, but what is your take about being part of a genre where every detail is picked apart online and the fans can be very angry at things and very happy at other things? And what feedback do you normally get?
Oh, I love it, actually. I think, and to be honest, I always used to say that if you have some form of emotional reaction to something, that's better than having none. Like, I want to be part of a show that people hate rather than necessarily are just like, okay, and then moving on. Because I think by evoking an actual emotional reaction, you're connecting with that audience member. Obviously not a terrible show. You don't want to be part of a terrible show. But the point is that I think that there's something really powerful about, and you know, people really participating and getting involved and feeling on a show, rather than necessarily just kind of, as I said, switching off and forgetting about it 3 days later, which you see a lot of, you know. And I think with Raised by Wolves, it stays with you for a very long time, and you really have to think about it. And people do become obsessed, and they kind of see all these different you know, have all these different theories, and that's brilliant. I think it's sexy, man. I think it's so great.
I know. I was speaking to some really high-profile showrunners the other day, and they all said, in this world of so much content, so much noise, if you put your heart and soul into something and then it just gets ignored, that would be the worst thing in the world. And so I can't imagine you guys are killing yourselves over in South Africa making this amazing show that's so different. At least people are into it, which is cool.
Exactly.
Yeah. So look, where to now? You don't know whether there's going to be a season 3. It's most likely, but you never know. So where can we see you next, Abubakar? What's happening with you and your career?
So I've just finished a film up in Montreal, which was great fun to do, where I can't actually talk much about it because you know, that's the life that we live in. Yeah. I've also got my game studio. So I've got my game studio, Silver and Games, which I'm currently focusing on. We're making our first debut game with EA as partners. And I'm keeping busy, man. I'm writing, I'm producing, I'm doing all sorts, because again, I'm sort of trying to distract myself away from thinking, oh God, what's going to happen next, you know?
I know. That's so cool. Oh yeah, well, I look forward to whatever that movie may be. I have a feeling I may know what that is, but thanks so much for your time, mate. I really enjoyed this show. It makes me think, and I love that theme song. I love everything about it. And I hope I get to chat with you again about season 3 at some point in the near future.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you.